Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Living in the Limelight, an Anton Scholl and Friends podcast where we discuss music from the artist and fan perspective. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. All right, welcome to Living in the Limelight, the podcast where we get together with musicians and fans of music to talk about music and what we are looking for and what we would expect from musicians and what musicians are looking for when they do shows. So today, my special guest is Tony Noyes. Tony, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Very good. Very good. Thank you. I just want to say up front first, we've been kind of Facebook friends and never really met. And this podcast really gives me, kind of the forum where I can just meet all of the people that I've wanted to meet over the years. And you certainly have been one of those with everything that you've done. So we're going to jump right into it. And we're going to start talking about you because there's a lot to cover. So
There's a lot. It is a lot. And thank you very much, man. I appreciate you reaching out to me, and thanks for having me on the show and even asking me. And I was like, hell yes, let's do this shit. Because you were like, can you do it now? Can you do it today? I'm like, yes, let's do it.
Well, I appreciate it
very much.
Yeah, no problem. And now I can kind of almost say that I'm been on Tony TV, because now I'm just with you. So that's kind of the thing that I can now say. I've always watched those, and now I can say I'm sort of there. He's on my show now.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of a reverse, but yeah, I'm happy to be on your show because I've been on Tony TV plenty of times. This is great to do something different for me,
Right,
so.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. There's so many bands and things to talk about because one of the things, that musicians, when they start out, there's a big difference between a musician starting out and joining a cover band and then maybe going into a tribute band, and then from there maybe going on to the original music. You've done it all in that sense. So I do want to touch on that. I want to touch on first, when did you really start realizing that music was what you wanted to do, and how did that all begin?
Well, that began. I remember sitting in the front yard. We used to hang out, and we talked about getting a band together. Nobody knew shit about music. We didn't know a lick of anything, but we thought, hey, we'll call ourselves Tight Leather. That'll be our first song. We'll call it Tight Leather. We're all just kids, and we made up a song, Tight Leather, and just, so what. But so that was the first thought of it, and that put like a seed in my brain, I think. And then I started kind of singing a little bit, and I love to sing. I actually grabbed my father's vinyl, and I would sing to Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, and he would come in and say, it sounds like a cat's dying in here. Are you singing again? But I would just fucking squeal those notes out, trying to hit those highs like Frankie. So I guess I was singing at a really early age, but that little concept of actually doing it and being in a band was in the front yard there. And then I really turned me when I was pretty young. I think I have to say 79 or 80. I saw Van Halen. I had a buddy say, hey, do you want to go see Van Halen? And I go, what's a Van Halen, but I guess, we kind of listened to the albums that, a couple of his friends were listening to, but we went to see Van Halen. I was sold on that. When I saw David Lee Roth jumping around, kicking his legs over his head, he's in his prime here, right in the early days, and he's swinging on the ladders, kind of like Ted Nugent would do. And the ladies are screaming and yelling and grabbing at his boots. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I kind of want to do. I think, that's awesome. So that put me in the direction of actually starting to sing a little bit more and just trying to sing anything that I could. And then I got my first guitar with my mom. We went down with a boyfriend of hers to Nogales in Mexico, and we were checking out all the shops and shit. And there was a stiletto that I wanted to buy, and I was like, the electric knives, automatics, not the electric, the automatic knives, switchblade type thing. And she did not want me to have that. She was like, no. So she looks up and there's a guitar on the wall, an acoustic guitar, and she goes, if I buy you that, will you forget about the fucking knife? That's basically it. And I go, I go, yeah. I go, okay, guitar. Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So she bought me this guitar that smelled like Elmer's glue, and it was just kind of a cheap guitar. But I started playing Jimi Hendrix on that thing. Um, I bought a Jimi Hendrix album at a garage sale, and that was so I started playing that and trying to riff some of that stuff. And that's really where, I mean, it just started from there. It was guitar, and then I started listening to Motley Crue, and this is more in the early '80s, and getting into high school, grade school, or whatever. But anyway, yeah, that's pointed me right in the direction from there. And
And
I was sold. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, was guitar the first instrument, or was it vocals, or did you do both when you first started out?
Well, I was singing, like I said, or at an early age to Frankie Valli thing. I remember my parents even got me involved in a gong show, a local gong show, and my brother and I got on there and sang. And so there was a little bit of singing going. I think I was always just kind of singing, but it didn't really point me into a direction of getting serious until I got the guitar, and then I can play and sing at the same
Mhm.
time, or at least have some kind of something to sing to, anything I wanted to, whatever I could figure out to play. So that just got me a little more serious. So what's funny you say that. I think I was more. I like to sing, and I always sang, but I was aimed at trying to learn how to play guitar, and then I just fell into my first band. It kind of almost happened by accident as a guitarist, so it wasn't a vocalist. So my first band
Mm.
was called Wicked Season, and these guys were just jamming down next to my workplace, and I used to ride my bike to AM PM to get snacks and sodas or whatever, and I heard them at night playing. So I go, what is that? Is that a real band, or is that? So I stopped in there, and they let me in, and I got to witness the greatness going on of an actual band in front of me for the first time. And so I wanted to join those guys. Before that, I jammed with a drummer once or twice, and that was it. So anyway, to watch them, and I was like, "Come on, guys, you need another guitarist. There's only one guitar in your band. You could really use a second."
Mm.
And so anyway, they did let me in after a while of me begging to get in the band. And once I got in there, we started writing some stuff. I learned all the material. We recorded in the studio, and then I started writing things, songs with them. And one part I came up with like the beginning of a song, and I said, "Can I sing the beginning and then just the intro to this thing?" And the singer was like, "Okay, cool." So once I did that, I think I was completely hooked, because then I sang. I was
Mm.
playing guitar, and we did that on stage for the first time, and then it was like a heroin shot. I was like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I want. So I was hooked after that.
So it started out then as like original music, not
Yeah,
doing a bunch of covers. That's okay. That's
yeah.
something interesting.
I don't think I was really talented enough or good enough to play the covers at the time. I could probably try to sing them, but playing guitar, there's no way I could play some of that shit. I was pretty basic guitar. I like to shred. It was like I liked heavy metal and Slayer and Metallica. So my band
Right.
after that, I was a vocalist and guitarist, and we had another vocalist and guitarist, and it was called Outrage. And we both played, it was speed metal. We were just playing as heavy and fast as we could. And so yeah, so it was all originals too, and I just started out doing originals, because basically, even if
Yeah.
I fucked them up on the stage, if I didn't play it right, nobody really knew, right? I meant it. I meant
Right.
it that way. That's the way I wrote it, you know. But yeah. So I started out
Yeah.
originals. I love writing music.
So when you started writing your own music, and I know you have originals that go back, quite a ways. How did you do the recording on that at the time when you first started? What was your recording process and writing
Um,
process when it comes to the physical writing?
when I, oh, God, when I first started writing stuff, this is before I actually got into that band. I had my guitar. I bought an electric guitar. It was an Area Pro. I still have it, and it was kind of a destroyer shape. And I bought that thing at a garage sale, and I think it was $100, a couple $100, and bought a small amp and a distortion pedal. And the way that I first started recording is I had two tape recorders. This is totally dating me here, but it was two tape recorders,
Uh,
and I would record on one of the cassette tapes, and then I would play that one, and then I would play like whatever the drums and sing backups to it on. I'd play on a cardboard box or the guitar case or whatever I could, and then I would try to mix the two and record them together, so that way I had one playing and I'd record, and I could have whatever I was doing. That was my just to get ideas, and I thought that was cool as hell. But
mm,
mainly I could listen back to myself and see if I sounded any good, and I found out that I sounded good probably in a couple spots of the song. When I listened back, I went, ooh, that was a good note. And that sounded good. And the rest
Mm.
was crap, you know? So I just kept doing it and recording until I went, okay, there's a couple spots that sound like crap and the rest is sounding pretty good. So, you know, I started getting better at it. Then I got a 4-track somewhere along the line, which actually helped me quite a bit. And I started recording on that. Now with the bands that I was with, we actually just went and bought some studio time with Wicked Season, the first ones. We went and did a 4-song demo. I think there was 4 songs on that. And
Wow.
that was our first time in the
Mhm.
studio. You know, we were just blown away to be in there. And the guy put some reverb on the shit, and we were like, "Whoa!" We looked at each other. That's amazing. Listen to it,
Exactly.
you know. And yeah, it was cool as hell.
Know
And
that feeling.
yeah, that was our. Yeah, if I, you know, it's
Mhm.
just a simple thing. He just put reverb on everything, and we went, "Yeah!" You know.
Right.
But so it was funny. I think back of that. But you know, we were just doing studio stuff. You know, Outrage the same. When I went into that one, we did a full album of, I think it was 9 or 10, maybe 12 songs. I can't remember. But we did a
Hmm.
cassette tape of that too. Released a cassette tape, and
Yeah.
yeah, we were just going in the studio. So that's all. I mean, I was basically tape recorders. You know, old fashioned tape recorders, and just sing and play on it and come up with ideas.
Mhm. Now, so from there, you started to get into a lot of, I mean, I know we're fast forwarding a bit, but you started to get into a lot of tributes, a lot of tribute bands. And from what I remember, you did a Brian Adams tribute. You also did you did a kind of a Motley Crue tribute. You were with some people who did a lot of Motley Crue, and then um, I forgot the other ones that you did. But anyway, I'm sure there's
Yeah.
quite a few that I don't know about. But what was the transition into that? Why go into the tribute era?
You know, I think it was just years and years of doing it. I felt there was a certain age that you're too old to make it big and get the record deal. You know, at the time, that's what we're all going for. I'm going to get it signed, and man, I worked my ass off. But trying to do it from Arizona is pretty rough. You have to be, you know, at the time, especially, might be a little easier now, but in California, New York, you know, somewhere, Nashville, somewhere that actually the scene is. I mean, that's where all the business is. You
Mhm.
know, the music business. So
Yeah.
anyway, I got to an age where I was just like not making money. I was burned out. I tried quitting everything. I said, I'm done with music, you know, and probably lasted not even a year. And then I'm like, all right, maybe I'll play
Yeah.
a little bit, you know. And so I jumped back into it. And I think, oh, okay. So the first time I was asked if I could sing, I was just doing originals and I was really burnt out. And somebody said, Can you sing Guns N' Roses? Can you sing Ozzy Osbourne? And I go, I don't know. I've never tried that, you know. I said I
Mm.
scream a little and I can do some notes. And so he said, "Well, why don't you come down and try out and do an audition for this?" Is a band called League of Forgotten Saints at the time. And I said, "Sure, I'll do that." And you know, I had been in a couple um, like sitting in with people and whatever, but I never actually did like a full on cover band. And this was the first one I was
Mhm.
auditioning for it. So I went in there and did it. And I think at this point I had done some YouTube videos too. So I had a couple YouTube
Yeah.
videos out, and a couple of them went kind of viral with some Avenged Sevenfold stuff that I did. But anyway, so I got in there and then I sang with them for a set, and then they asked me to join right away, and like that was easy, all right, I guess. So that was kind of the beginning of the whole cover band thing because that was an '80s cover band, and there was a guy who
Mm.
started it. His name was Loki, and he started the whole thing. And he was like, "You got to wear a fishnet. We got to dress the part. You're gonna need eyeliner." And you know, he was kind of directing what we should look like. Which you know, we all got into that stuff. We got into the garb. We took photos, and
Right.
and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Actually, I've never done that shit. I never did the poison. I was a speed metal guy, so I was like, I got to wear the guy liner. All right. So once I tried it, and I just saw the reaction from it, you know, we made
Mm.
pictures and flyers and all that stuff, and got a lot of positive feedback from the ladies, of course. So it was, you know, they like that
Right.
'80s look for whatever reason, and so that was kind of cool. So that was the start of that. You know, it just started out as an '80s tribute, we were calling it, but it was kind of an
Mhm.
'80s cover band, and we dressed the part. And then it kind of evolved as it went. I started dressing more and more. You know, the drummer tells me one time, he goes, I bought a pair of chaps because I saw that some of the guys in the '80s were wearing chaps over their jeans or doing that type of thing. So I bought some chaps. I put them on over some spandex, It was a cool look. And the drummer goes, you ought to just do the Axl Rose or the Tommy Lee thing and come out with the skivvies on and the chaps and just shot shit out of people. And I was like, I don't think I can do that, bro. That's like bad. I'm going to be out there bouncing my bag around, and I don't think I can do that. That's like my ass hanging out. I don't know. So I actually tried it at home, put them on for the costume. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna actually shock the drummer and just come out and do that. He has to look at my ass all night, right? Yeah, he's gonna be back there playing. He's gonna be sorry he ever asked me to do that. So anyway, I show up and I kind of wrap myself in some scarves or whatever to try to cover it up, and then I just came out, jumped on the stage, and he was like, "You motherfucker," And he ended up saying that I had to look at your ass all night, but I'll tell you what, all the women came running to the front of the stage after you did that. So you need to do it. And all the guys said, you need to do that again, which I was kind of shocked. And I was drunk enough that I didn't care at the time, doing that night. But anyways, so it grew into a costume thing from there. Like, how crazy could I get with suspenders and the chaps and then I put spikes on the skivvies or the banana hammocks or whatever you want to call it. It just got out of control. And it was nutty. But that started me into going from there into doing more covers. I can't tell you the first tribute act that I think it was the Motley Crue one. I got called. They were living in LA and they had heard of me somehow and gave me a call out of the blue and said, hey, do you want to do this? We just lost our singer. We have a show in Las Vegas and and I was on the Monsters of Rock cruise. So they said it's like 2 days. It was like a day or 2 day after that I would get back from the cruise. And I went, oh, shit, I got to learn all those lyrics. And so I said, yes. So they came by and picked me up when I got home. And I got in the van and we traveled out to Vegas. And I learned most of the lyrics in there, reading them. And I was pretty familiar with Motley Crue. I was a fan. So I knew most of their music. It's just some of the lyrics I got to, get down. Or otherwise I'd be singing, just make them up as I go, But anyway, that was the first one there. And we pulled off the show. It went awesome, and they were pleased. Got a big paycheck, and that was it for me on that one. I mean, we were doing pretty good with Forgotten Saints. We were playing everywhere here in Arizona. We would play in the east, Mesa side, and then we'd go to the west side. And we had a few gigs every month. So I was bringing in some money. But this one, doing a tribute, and we just got paid from this casino in Vegas. I was like, damn it! And they're going to feed us, and they're giving us nice ass rooms. Yeah. Sign me up. So let's go.
Yeah.
So,
sounds good.
Yeah. It really made it a lot nicer rather than just, getting kicked out in the parking lot with your shit afterwards, all drunk. I didn't even get any free drinks doing the cover band. What the hell? This one, I got free drinks, food. So that was the beginning of that. So yeah, I started doing more tribute stuff. With the Motley one, we toured quite a bit. So we played everywhere to New York to Alaska one time and traveling. And I just loved it, man. I was just like, I was in a van. We were in a van, and I'm in this bench seat of a van, crunched in there with all our shit, and I just loved it. I'm like, this is just great, man. I love being on the road, looking out the windows. I know where I'm playing the next. I know what time I got to start work. We get there and we just load up and bam, do our thing, get out of there and party a little bit. So then I got into. I can't tell you in which order, but I ended up doing a Kiss tribute where I played Paul Stanley. And that was probably one of the most.
Can I ask you about that? Yeah.
That was one of the toughest gigs to pull off. I mean, it was a lot of work. And Bryan Adams is tough too because the guitar playing and the singing. And I'm sure if you're in a Rush tribute, you said you got to play and you got to sing at the same time, right? Doing the bass and then play with your feet as well, like Geddy does. But so the Kiss tribute was fun, challenging. I did a Guns N' Roses tribute. Bryan Adams, Guns N' Roses, Kiss, Motley. I think that's it. I've got another one that I might be doing. I was just asked to do another one, but I'm not going to reveal that right now. It's up to the band to do that. But so I might be doing. I'm in 5 bands already now, so I might be in 6 coming up soon. But so I'm doing that, and I'm recently doing which is not really a tribute band. It's Hollywood Gods and Monsters is the latest one that I just signed up with. And that's kind of a mashup. They mash up a bunch of different songs, which is really cool. So they'll play a riff from Def Leppard, and then they sing something over. We'll all sing something different. So there's 3 singers, a rapper, a female singer, and then I'm one of the singers. Whoa. It's a really cool project. So we're just getting it together. Wow. We got some shows coming up in the next few months. So anyway, I could babble on.
Oh, okay.
Take it
Well,
up all the time here, man. But yeah, if you got any,
yeah. Well, no, that's good
that's how I got
because
into doing that. Go
yeah.
ahead. I'm
Well,
sorry.
there's so many different things you did. And obviously, when it comes to the 80s things and all of the dressing up and the things that people did in the 80s back then, I mean, it was a great time for music. And obviously, everybody knows that sex sells. And you came up with what I thought was this genius, sensational 80s experience,
Ah,
that I thought was so cool when you had done that. What was, I mean, obviously, I think we know what brought that on, but that was the whole start of that was just kind of reliving that particular era in time.
yeah. That was kind of a carryover from the Forgotten Saints thing. The Forgotten Saints was
Mm.
all out 80s. We were doing the whole garb and the makeup. That kind of fell apart. And I said, what am I going to do next? And yeah, we had I mean, that one really was crazy because it blew up, and there was a lot of people that were just, they'd say, "Oh, I'm going to go see Tony Noyes," because I was wearing hardly any clothes and jumping around like a madman as the front man. So they would say, "I'm going to go see Tony Noyes and the Forgotten Saints," and I think the band got a little upset, because they would say, "Well, what about that's not the band name. It's not Tony Noyes," and they get mad. Um,
Right.
so anyway, it just kind of happened the way it did. It's nothing I could really control. But I go, well, I mean, if that's the case, maybe I just start up Tony Noise's Sex, Tony Noise's sensational 80s experience with an X, and just called it Sex.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of the same kind of, I bought a shit ton of fishnet leather, and I'm like, what am I going to do with this stuff? Well, I'm just going to just use it for this. So anyway, we started
Right.
going off with that one, and just we carried doing that one. And it was. You're right, man. I had so many people go. I felt like I was in the '80s again because
Yeah.
we were just doing shows and drinking and just being stupid and just like Vince Neil would go, "Show me your titties, everybody," and I was just screaming
Yeah.
stuff like that at the crowd just to wake them up. Get up here. And it was a big party. And I had more people say that man, it brought me back to the '80s when I was a kid in high school. And thank you for that. So yeah, we kept doing that for as long as we
Right.
could.
So were the women coming up to you and asking them to or asking you to sign your calendar, because I'm sure a lot of the women had your calendar at one point in time. Were they signing that at that time? Did the band kind of get a little bit jealous, a little bit upset about the fact that it was kind of like the Tony Noyes show?
I think they did, and at the time, I didn't really realize it because I was just kind of enjoying what was going on. I was trying to generate more interest, and I was trying to get more people to
Yeah.
come to the shows. And somebody meant, like, of course, more women come to the show. So somebody mentioned a calendar. You should do a calendar. As I was doing some. I've done modeling since I was 20, in my 20s. So I started putting up hump day pictures, and I'd put Happy Hump Day, and then that became a thing where girls would message me and go, "Where's your hump day? It's Wednesday. What's up?" It's like in the
Yeah.
morning. I go, I haven't even got it together. So then somebody had mentioned doing a calendar, and I go, okay, fuck it. I'll put it together and see what happens. And I mean, I was surprised that they liked it. And I sold out my first batch, and then I had to go get some more made and sold the calendars. And I was like, all right, well, this is working, because you never know until you do it. I expected to have a box full of them, like all my music. I have boxes of CDs in the garage.
Right.
There's my calendars too. But they
Yeah.
actually sold, and it was cool. So yeah, I started bringing them to the shows, or they would bring them. And you get into this thing where they're like, "Oh, I got to get a picture with you." And I put more into the costume, I think, than anybody, and into the trying into the act in the show. And I'm the voice of the band. All the lead guy, the lead singer, is the voice of the band. I think people identify with that guy because you're talking to them, and they feel like
Right.
I try to make them part of the show. So they want to come up to you right away and take a picture at the end. They feel like you have that
Mhm.
relationship. So I'm taking the pictures and right on and this and that, and the other guys are packing their stuff, and they can't even get down to take pictures until then. And and
Right.
and I just guess I didn't notice. I mean, they felt left in the back, and here I am, like, there's the lead guy. So yeah, I think there was that kind of envy, or I didn't get that until I played. I mean, I understood that, but I played bass for Metal Elvis one time, and I understood it because I was in that spot. I was the guy in the front. I got done, and fucking
Yeah.
nobody wanted to come talk to me. I was just the bass Nikki Six guy. I got a couple of pictures, but Elvis got flocked, man.
Yeah.
And I got to see from their view, and I went, all right, I can kind of see, not that I was jealous, but I saw that. I go, yeah, okay, I understand. Like, nobody wants to talk to me. They'd rather talk to the eldest guy and get pictures with him. So that is what
Right.
happened. And it just got really kind of mean and nasty, which that's the part I don't care for. I understand there's feelings and you can disagree, but shit talking behind the back and then talking to the fans about it, it just got mean and nasty and it didn't need to. And it got personal with them. And
Sure.
I just said, hey, man, it's a business. I'm rolling on, and, it,
Right.
I think I embrace it a little bit more now that I just got to take it how it comes. I can't really control it. I got to go up there and do the job that I do to try to entertain people. And,
Right.
I encourage everybody else. I would tell those guys, man, get up there and, well, I mean, you look at Steve Vai, or you got like some of the bass players or guitarists that are like off the charts, man. They're out there putting on a show, man, and they're getting noticed.
Right.
And I would love to have a circus with a bunch of different rings under the big top, and everybody doesn't know which guy to look at. Look at this guy playing with his teeth. Fucking A, that's amazing. Everybody
Right.
should step up to the plate and try to hit a home run with that, I think. So, it is what you put into it, I think, the
Right.
response and
Well,
attention
I'll
you
tell
get.
you this. One of the really big things is having that support group. And, through all of this, you were married. And I mean, obviously, huge shout out then, to your wife for going through this, because a lot of people wouldn't be able to handle it. A lot of people wouldn't be dealing with that. And, that then brings up with your family. I mean, certainly a musician's dream, one, being a father, but then two, having a wife who supports you 100%, and now as we fast forward, having a son that you can jam with. I mean, that is probably the ultimate, musician father thing that everybody wants to achieve. So I wanted to talk about the band. So we go into Noise Factory, but I wanted to talk about your son, because he hugely talented. Obviously, we know where he gets it from, but what
His mother,
started
yes.
that? His mother.
Well, yeah, he's got all his good looks and his talent from his mom. That's for sure. It started. You mean as far as starting him on the path of music type thing? Is what you're talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
His idea or yours?
well, I would never push anything on him, at all. Here, son, play these. Put them in your hands. Just
Right.
get a feel for them. I'm not telling you have to do it. But no, he actually. I bought him guitars when he was young, and just to see, because I figured he's got the blood in there. It's got to be in there. So I bought him an acoustic guitar, and it just sat in the corner and collected dust for the longest time. So I ended up giving it to my granddaughter at the time. And yeah, I'm a grandpa. We're grandparents. So I gave it over to her because he wasn't using it. And I figured, he'll just do it whenever the hell he feels like doing it. If he wants to do it, I don't give a shit. Whatever he does, I'll support. And then, so one day he says, yeah, I would like to, play the guitar. And he was kind of grabbing mine, and he was I taught him how to play Alice in Chains, Check Your Brain. Yeah. So, he just, you just bend it. And he got it down, and he goes, I like this. I need an electric guitar, Dad. And I go, well, I'll buy you an acoustic. And if you play it, you show me you're going to play it, then I'll look at getting an electric one. So, I bought him the acoustic. He started playing it. I was teaching him Smoke on the Water, of course. You got to teach him that. And Iron
First
Man.
one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. Iron Man by Arno and Smoke on the Water. So those two he learned. He was playing them every day. And I go, all right, well, so then I stepped it up from there. And I think he's at probably 12, 13, 14 guitars or something now. Because he needed one tuned
Wow.
at everything. He needed one tuned at C, he needed one tuned at D, drop D. I need
Oh,
one in standard. So every time I just go, just tune your fucking guitars. And
yeah.
he go,
Right.
I need a guitar that's already tuned there, Dad. So anyway, yeah. So I just poured some gas on that fire and bought him whatever he wanted, spoiled the hell out of him, and he ran with every ounce of it, man. So far, I taught him how to produce music. I got him. We share all the same plugins, and got him. Gave him my old Mac with all of the programs on it. How to, the DAW and Pro Tools at the
Yeah.
time. And he just ran with it, and he makes his own music now all the time, and he became more of a screamer because the screaming was coming in. So I hear him in the
Mhm.
shower, and then they're just working on his chops. and so now he teaches me how to scream, trying to, and I was trying to teach him how to sing a little bit more. But he's doing great, man. I'm very proud of him and super talented. And that's how that came about. I mean, he just kind of fell into it. And he's got the heroin shot, the music heroin shot. He's addicted to it. And any chance he gets, we went to the NAMM show recently here, 2024, just a week ago or whatever it was. But I said, do you want to go out to some of the shows? Do you want to go like meet some people? And he brought his laptop and his shit so that he could make music. He was inspired. And he goes, I'm just going to sit in the hotel and I'm going to work on this song, So,
wow.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Well, so
I love it, man.
His vocals, wait, is he singing on, you had done a song called Lights Out for You.
Yeah.
When was that? 2022-ish maybe?
Yeah,
or something?
I think so.
Is that
right?
Who's singing? Is he singing on that?
Well, I'm doing the rap part on there, and then he does the chorus line where it does 1, 2, lights out for you, the screaming part. So he does that, and then I do the rap, like a flash bomb blowing up in your face. I'm doing kind of this mix-a-lot thing, So yeah,
Wow.
it was great. I wrote that. He does rap as well. He's like incredible. He's listening to these guys that do rap and screaming and singing all in the same song. So he's incredible at it. And I've always loved rap. So I go, let's do one together. And one of the first ones that we ever did that I'll always tear up on every time I listen to it. It's a death metal tune, but I'll tear up on it anyway because we were growling together. So really, I was recording shit and I couldn't get him in here to like record anything. I'd say, come in here and just, let's do something together. And he'd go, nah, it's cool. So I did so I worked on my growling, like, ooh, I learned how to do that at least. And so I wrote a song and I sang the first verse on there, growled it. And then I got him in there. I said, I need a high pitched scream. I can't do the high shit. They're really high. So I said, can you come in here and just give me a scream? I really need one. He goes, all right. So he comes in, he does one in the very beginning of the song. And then I did the reverb trick on him. I threw the reverb in the chorus or whatever, the shit on there, the juice. And I played it for him and he goes, holy fuck, that sounds amazing. I go, doesn't it? And he goes, yeah. I go, you sound great. You want to do another? And he goes, yeah, let's do another.
Sure.
So I got him to do the second verse. He came in and sang that. I wrote it out. I said, here's what we're going to do. Produced it. And got him in there doing his first recording ever. So I do the first verse in this low, you're the one, the biggest weapon, And then he comes in with this higher screaming thing, And that one's available too. You can listen to. It's called Good Inside, and that's by the Noyes boys. We just went as Zach and Tony Noyes, but that was the first one I ever did, and I was like, you're right, man. It's the best feeling in the world.
Sure.
Record deals. All that shit that I've chased, I can speak for myself, that I've chased all my life and really wanting that dream, that's the dream. That's the ultimate for me. Yeah. I just go, this is the best thing in the world. And then to be able to, do Noise Factory, he started remaking some of my music from the band Crazed that I was in. It was 2000. And we were kind of a rappy. I started doing kind of rap. Disturbed was in, Linkin Park was in. So I started writing original stuff geared towards metal, rap metal and that type of thing. So he goes, man, this is really good shit, Dad. I want to remake one of the songs. And I was like, you just trying to make me feel good? Is that what you're trying to do? Just okay, go ahead and remake it.
Why not?
So he remakes it. Yeah, it was cool as hell. I mean, it was really flattering. And then what was really flattering is that he started remaking another one and then another one and another. He's probably at like 9. And he really likes the music that I wrote. And so I was just completely blown away. And so I told him, I'll remake one of yours, because he was making his own music and releasing it. So I remade one of his, and I kind of did it in my style because I can't really do what he does. And he was like, wow, you really changed that a lot. Like, made it your own. And I go, yeah, well, I mean, I can't really do you. So I didn't try to do you. I just did me. So from there on, he's done 2 or 3 of my songs now, and he's just done it like him, like what he would do. And it's the best. I go, those are the best versions that you've ever done. I mean, that's the way, don't try to be me, be yourself. And so from there, I go, hey, man, do you want to just take this out and go do your first show? He's never been on stage before. I go, let's go do a show and we'll put a band together and call it Noise Factory. And he said yes. And that's still the best thing in the world, is like to get on stage with my son and jam with some other guys. I got Brian Jones playing guitar. Right now we're looking
Sure.
for a bass player. We had Joe Bass on there and Chris Howell on the drums, and yeah, it was great, man. We played a few shows already and got to get him up there and jump around on the stage. And so, yeah, I can't complain, man.
Oh yeah.
I'm happy with the way everything turned out,
Right. Right. Well, I'll tell you, obviously all of that is great. Having your son up there playing music, and especially kind of the both thing, playing each other's tunes and putting them in your own style is phenomenal. That's something that really, puts the two different styles, because you guys are from the same family, but putting those two different styles has got to sound great. And I definitely want to hear that. I haven't heard that. I've heard your Spotify stuff. And I wanted to ask you about something, because as I was going through, there's, I mean, I don't even know how to say this. There are musicians out there, for some odd reason. I am not one of those musicians, but there are musicians out there that are looking to tear other musicians down, because of their talents, like trying to look at something and say, well, okay, I hear about him, but maybe he doesn't do this very well. You know what I mean? Like, for some reason,
Right.
some musicians are trying to tear people down. And I kind of took that attitude when I was doing this. I'm like, you know what? I got to find something that Tony doesn't do well, and as a joke, I was just like kidding around, and I couldn't. I mean, I was listening to the songs,
Really?
but but here's what happened. I came across Viralize, and
Ah,
here I'm thinking, okay, this is a guy who sings all different styles of music. And when I talk about styles of music, your covers, I mean, one you did, Hallelujah, and then I thought, wait a minute, I see he's doing the little drummer boy. I got to hear this, and that blew me away. And I'm like, how does a person who is mostly into these types of styles that you're talking about, you cannot really pigeonhole or pinpoint you as a voice where somebody can say, oh, well, he just sounds like Vince Neil, or he just sounds like, this person. That's not the case. But then I heard Viralize, and I'm like, wait a minute, he's not showcasing any vocals whatsoever in here. So where did that even come from?
yeah, that was one where, yeah, you had the year of the lockdowns and all that crap going on, and that's where I got kind of the viralized from, right? And I was like, I'm just sitting inside, everybody's staying inside or whatever they're doing. I'll get a little time in to do some recording, and I don't know. I just thought I never did an instrumental, and I never did a guitar solo.
Mhm.
Instrumental kind of, like, I mean, I love Joe Satriani, I love Steve Vai. I would sing those songs.
Sure.
There's no lyrics, but I would just hum and
Right.
whistle to them or whatever. And I thought, well, shit, I should do some of that. And I never tried it before. And so when I did it, I just started experimenting with it. And I thought, wow, because I don't really like give myself a lot of credit as a guitarist, to be honest. I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of more of a vocalist, and I never really took the time to sit down and learn the guitar to be a shredder like some of these guys. I think just blow me out of the water. And but I can play. And then when I do something like that, I started listening. I'm going, oh, that's not bad. That sounds pretty good. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
cool riff. I guess I'm better than I thought. Once I listened back, and I do that with everything. Like my vocals, when I record them, I'm like, oh, it's just there's that little part that's off. I could just I still it's fresh in my mind, all of the little imperfections that I do. And then when I sit on that, maybe a couple weeks later, I come back to it and listen to it. I go, ooh, or even a year later, I'll listen back to something and go, wow, that's pretty good, actually. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty hard on myself, is what it is. But that's where that came from. I just thought, it started sounding good with just leads, and I go, I'll just do the whole thing as a guitar thing, and put it out there for shits and giggles. And that's all
Yeah.
that was. I was kind of boredom and wanted to record something, but yeah, I just do whatever feels good, and at the time, and I think I have kind of a countryish one that there was a lady that hired me to do. She wrote the lyrics and she said, "Can you make a song out of it?" I kind of like Keith Urban, and she gave me some country stars, and they were kind of a little bit rock also. And I go, "Yeah, I could deal with that. I don't know if I could do some achy breaky hard shit, but I can definitely do a little more of a rock So it's kind of a rock country-ish song. So I just find it fun to try to branch out. And I'm an actor
Yeah.
too, and I'm a director, and I make films, and I love acting, and I've done that ever since I was a kid. I mean, so, and I would act. I'd put on plays for my mom out in the living room with my brother. I'd make him do shit. You know, you're gonna say this, and I'll do this. I'll be Evil Knievel. I just crashed. You know. So anyway, that's a part of loving the tributes, the costuming, the different
Yeah.
sounds. I like to make my voice sound different. I like to see if I could, make this song completely different. I did an album with Chris Cotero. He produced it with me and recorded it in his studio, and it's called Good versus Evil. And I love that one because I did a lot of punk. I did rock, I did metal, I did a ballad on there. I did some singing, I did some screaming, I did some, you know, do that
Yeah.
Green Day kind of voice, where you don't really pronounce the words all the way. And so I did a
Yeah.
lot of different shit, and I just love that album because it's got a lot of different flavors on it. So I constantly try to make something different. And thank you very much for the compliment on you couldn't find nothing bad, because yeah, people tend to search, and even if they don't like it, maybe it's bad to them. They could be real assholes about it, And
Yeah.
I got a lot of that. I got a lot of flack, but I think anybody who's doing well and talented, you really don't tear down other musicians. They don't need to, at the
Right.
time. So it's the people I think that
Absolutely.
are struggling. They want to look at somebody doing well and go, look at that, and tear them down. So
Right.
um,
No, and
it's
you've done a lot over the years, certainly. And now, like you mentioned, you also, went into the movie side of it. You also won an award on that, didn't you?
yeah, I did. Yeah, I did a bunch of. I actually submit something to the Sholo Film Festival every year, and and they're great people. And I've been there since the first one. I think they're going on 7 or 8 years now. But yeah, I won every year something in there. I put a music video in, or I put something with them. And I tried the circuit. I did Las Vegas ones, and I did different film festivals. And some of them were just scamish. They just take your money, and you know,
Sure.
and I didn't win some of them. Some they didn't even take my films. To some of them, I tried Sundance and things like that. But it depends on who what. It's like a song. Not everybody's going to like the song. And the people at Sholo, they just happen to like my work, and they're just like, "Are you submitting something?" They'll hit me up, and I'm like, "I don't have anything
Yeah.
ready," and I got to make something. So, so they're great folks, and yeah, so I've won every year there with something or other. I feel like sometimes they even make up an award for me, even if they don't. You know what I mean? If I don't win it, they'll be like, "You have the best credits, the best rolling credits we've ever seen. Here's an award." And
Right.
but no, they're sweethearts,
Mm.
and but really I love the filmmaking, and it takes so much time and preparation that I've really
Yeah.
slowed down on, and I haven't done anything. I have two that I want to make this year. One with my son. We did a Batman Under the Red Hood. It's a 2D animation cartoon, and we did a live action one when
Oh,
he was, I think, 8, maybe 8 or 10, and we put it on YouTube, and it's nearing 1 million views already. I say already, but it's
mm.
been 10 years. But anyway, it's got a lot of views and went viral, and everybody says, he's too young. You got to do one when he's older. So now I built the suit. I built the Robin suit and the whole thing for my son at 20.
Oh,
And in the animation, he's supposed to be about 16, but I'm like, I don't care. Let's just remake it and do a new one. And so everybody's asking for it. So anyway, I'm working on that. And then I have another one that's kind of a weird time travel short that I got to work on. It's going to take a lot of animation, a lot of shit to do. So, but anyway,
yeah.
it's a lot of work. And like you said, I have a lot going on, and I do a lot. So I used to try to get
Yeah.
it all done and just stress myself out. And I've slowed down a lot, with the old
Mm.
age. But, you know, I
Yeah.
do want to
Well,
get
I
those
got to
done
tell
this
you,
year.
you're slowing down is everyone else's crazy busy schedule. So at least that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, I had a buddy tell me that. He goes, "I don't know how you do." I would go to the gym in the morning. I would run up Squaw Peak, up the mountains, or Camelback Mountain. I would run up there every couple times a week, and then have band practice 2 nights a week. And then, yeah, it was like, he was like, "I don't know how you do all that stuff." I don't know how I did
Yeah.
all that stuff, but yeah, I'd slowed down quite a bit. But every day I got to do something. I mean, I'm still like, I couldn't. I don't think I could just retire and do nothing. I could give it a shot. I might be able to do it. but
Mm,
it's hard for me to sit still and not. I got to be productive or creative, you know, doing something.
yeah. Right. Well, I don't think that would last very long. Well, but we are at the end of our time here, Tony. I really appreciate it. I mean, as I said before, looking on Facebook and just kind of watching the stuff that you've done over this time, have been a fan. Now, kind of realizing everything that you do, even more so, and I really want people to start listening to your stuff, start watching the things that you do, and start watching out for you. People should be looking on Spotify for the stuff that you do. You have a YouTube channel that people should definitely get on there and subscribe to that, and really just watch out, because you're really a fascinating person who have done so much over the years that, I see so many great musicians out there that, that should be, noticed by a lot more people, and,
Well,
you certainly are into that. So keep doing what you're doing. Nobody puts Tony in a corner. You're not pigeonholed in any way, shape, or form. Keep doing what you're
thank
doing,
God.
and certainly appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. And I appreciate anybody going to the Spotify or the YouTube. I also have Noisecraft Pictures on YouTube. You can check out some of the films that I did. I do want to plug the Blacklight Acoustic Conspiracy. It's an acoustic band that I'm in. You could also look at that up on Spotify and YouTube. I'm doing the Hollywood Gods and Monsters, of course, and Noise Factory. I'm also jamming with Whiskey's Quicker, which is kind of just corporate gigs whenever we can get them type thing. God, how many of them? There's too many of them. Reckless Summer, of course, the Bryan Adams tribute. And then I have another one that I may be doing that is going to be another 80s makeup and and wig type thing, but I won't say anything for that. But thank you for letting me be on your show, for allowing me to plug all of those things. And I appreciate the kind words as well. Thank you very much, Anton.
Oh, you got it. You got it. Thank you for joining us. And of course, stay tuned for all the Living in the Limelight podcasts. You can see us on Spotify, YouTube, and Amazon Music. So please stay tuned for all episodes following. So thank you, Tony. Really appreciate it. And we hope to have you on again soon.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do, man, and getting all of us out there. So I appreciate that. And thanks again. And goodbye to everybody out there.
There you go. Thank you for joining our Living in the Limelight podcast with your host, Anton Scholl. Please feel free to comment, like, follow, share, and subscribe. And also add us to your playlist on your favorite streaming sites. Thanks again for joining, and we'll talk to you again next week.